our panel of experts helping us get through certain issues in life. But before we get back to our questions on the line, if you're holding on the phones, we'll get to you in a second. There is so much going on that's ugly in this world right now. And a lot of parents are struggling with how to explain this to their children. There's a little boy the other day, one of my son's friends, who's afraid to step out of the house. He's like, he thinks he's going to be shot. Right. And so how do we explain that to our children? Because they're seeing it kind of in a capsule on TV.
It's a difficult one.
I mean, I think first of all, we have to monitor how much our children are exposed to, because then it can be traumatizing. It's called secondary trauma, actually. And so when you do have those conversations, you have to talk about what's really happening where they are, because that's someone else's story right now, and it doesn't mean it's happening to you at this moment. I have so many clients come into my office afraid that it's happening to them, really experience like it's happening to them, and it's not. And so having the conversation with children about what's really happening here, what you can do to help yourself.
What's on the news is because it's unusual.
It is.
It's not because
it's not the norm.
Yeah,
it's not happening everywhere. It's not happening every time you walk out the door.
All right, we have Chris Bridge. You have all these therapists. I was like, no, you go. No, you go. No, you. Yeah, okay. Well, Chris Bridge is in our audience this morning, and she has a book that's really amazing, and it's called The Same Heart. And that book kind of helps you to explain certain things to kids. So tell us about this book and the emphasis behind it.
So The Same Heart is written for children. It's a first look at diversity. And the idea is simply to let kids know that as different as we are on the outside, we're the same on the inside.
Yeah, and that every human being has value.
That's right.
All right, where can we get that book?
Right. And it's on Amazon, so easy to get. And a brief little story, there's trying to get these books out everywhere so that kids get the message. And recently there was a doctor who took one to his office, and now kids are coming in, reading the book, getting the message, and feeling a little more safe and secure when they leave.
That's where it starts, in childhood. Those patterns that we learn and things starts in childhood. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the phone line. We have Dr. Taylor on the line. Good morning. Or Norman on the line. Good morning, Norman.
Good morning.
What's your question or comment?
Not necessarily all courtships have to be long. I met my wife on the 23rd of January. On the 10th of February, we were married. And we were married for a little over 43 years. Had 3 kids, 5 grandkids, and all this before cancer took her. Otherwise, we'd still be going strong.
Yeah. And Norman, what was the key, do you think, to keeping you all together?
It was just, we looked at each other, and it was just something clicked, and we dated for that period of time, and then got married. And at the time, I didn't have a job because I had been injured in an auto accident, and I was on crutches. But I told her, I said, I don't have a job, but that's all right. As soon as we get married, out to California to meet your in-laws, because I'm originally from California.
So love conquered all there.
And I took her out there. She met my folks and everything and all my relatives. And we came back to Texas. I got a job. We proceeded and ended up buying a home and
raising your kids. The whole thing is, if you like the relatives, then you're in. It's good. So, Norman, thank you very much for sharing with us this morning. Every now and then it can work out, right? In that way. All right, let's go to Kathy. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Deborah.
What's your question?
Yes, I'm a widow, and I'm dating a widower. Both of us love each other, but struggle with Social Security issues of not wanting to get or rekindle a relationship in the way of marriage because of possibility of losing benefits or money. We have our own children.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to do the right thing without the fear of feeling used or guilty of not being in a committed relationship, but trying to do the wise thing financially.
Who's in an exact situation that you're in, and I'm going to throw this out there. Okay, so there's two things. There's a marriage license that you have that's filed with the state, right? And they just want to make sure that that's filed and says that you're married legally in their eyes. And then there's a ceremony you can do, the civil ceremonies, where you can go to church and you can have a ceremony and say, we just want to pledge in front of our friends that we love each other and we're in a committed relationship. Is that an option?
How long have you been going out, Kathy?
We've been going out for less than a year. My husband's been passed away about a year and a half, and we were married for over 30-something years. He lost his wife about 2 years ago, and about 2 years ago, and he feels like he doesn't. I think he's struggling with commitment because he doesn't want to be a caregiver again.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's a little different. That's different.
That's
so the first issue you were talking about, I mean, I think you can just kind of declare your love and
with the finance and stuff, a lot of people are choosing to do prenuptial agreements these days, especially as people are getting married a little bit older and perhaps have,
But she's worried about losing those benefits, those death benefits. So if you get married again, those can go away.
But I think she doesn't have to make that decision right now. They've been going out for over a year. She has time to think about that and process that, and that's why she called the show. So.
Yeah. You've got time. No one's pressuring you to do any of those things. All right, let's go to the audience. We have Angela. Hello there.
Hi. My question is, when you're in a relationship and intimacy stops, does that mean that someone's cheating?
Okay, so.
The short answer is no. When people come in with a sexual issue, I assess in 4 main areas. So I look at their desire for sex, their arousal, orgasm, and any pain. Desire is by far the most complex. There are so many different factors or combinations of factors that may affect one's desire to have sex. And so, I like to assess for work-life balance, which we talked about earlier. A lot of people don't realize how much fatigue can play a role. I mean, if you're working 10, 12 hours a day, you come home or if you don't have time to go to the gym so there's a lot, or there's relationship dynamic, different kinds of relationship dynamics that may come into play.
The hard thing is that sex is hard for us to talk about. And the question she asked is what most of us would think when a partner withdraws is that they're cheating or there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. That goes back to that.
And the question is, have we talked about that?
Exactly.
And the thing is to say
what that means. What's going on. And oftentimes the person will not tell you the truth because it's hard to talk about. That's where therapy is good too. But I want to talk about Ben. Your brother is a pastor up in Dallas, and he actually did a whole sermon on challenging couples to have sex for.
He did. He and his wife wrote a book called Sex Experiment. They challenged their whole church, if you're married, to have sex for 7 days in a row. But in real life, my brother made it to day 6 and was too tired.
Fatigue again.
But I would say that's biblical because there's a Sabbath, right? But anyway, but that's a true story. That's true. He made it 6 days.
The reason for that was to say reconnect with your partner. And I think when we talk about some of our hang-ups about sex go to religion. And we're all like, oh, that's taboo. We shouldn't talk. But that was the point, to open up that conversation.
Great sex in marriage is based on non-sexual things. Sometimes there's a physiological problem that Emily addresses and what she does in her practice, but sometimes the problem is basically on communication and other issues that are not related to the physicality of the sex act.
Right. Which I also address in my practice. Because again, it's so much more. And you don't want to reduce sex down to just a physiological or biological act. As humans and the way our brains have evolved, we attach so much more meaning. And so you have to look at the meanings that we're attaching.
And then if there's any kind of emotional or problem from one's past that was sexual in nature, that contributes as well to what happens now.
So the key is to open up that conversation. And I just want to ask you out of curiosity, have you opened up that conversation? Have you asked the why? She said she didn't. Okay, this is your homework assignment. You go home and you ask and you say, look at all this right here. You just stop by Victoria's Secret on the way home. Okay, we'll be right back.